All right, so again, 68, and we are going to be solving inequalities. We're going to be undoing division by using a multiplication. So, well, let's get started. These should be pretty easy. They're just one step. I know you'll get done before the period is over. Make sure, again, you're showing all of the steps. And I think I've got somebody that, well, never mind, I'll talk about that later. Anyway, I'm solving for the n. Who knows what I need to get rid of? It's a division. What's the opposite of a division? So again, you need to put, and this is what I saw in the test. Some people are putting a 6 way under here. You don't do that because that makes it n over 36. You put it over here. If this is in the denominator, this should be near the numerator. And what you do on this side, you do on the other. Okay. And then go ahead and, so your property of equality, then 6 divided by 6 is 1. 1 times n is n, which is less than or equal to 18. Now, I think I'll come back to the graph. No, I'll go ahead and graph it right now. So on some of the problems today, you're also going to be graphing it. And we're going to mentally check some. You'll have the answer bank on the others. But just so you know, if the answer is correct, in case you don't have an answer bank. So I'm going to put just a 0 somewhere, an 18, and that's about all you have to show. So I know that I've got a positive side, a negative side, and this is going to be an open circle or closed. Closed circle over that 18. And again, don't have it flying in the air. Just kind of show maybe a little bit darker. And I saw somebody, I don't know who it was, with angry arrow. They had it. It was like, what was? I know. That's what they. It was like they must have been mad at somebody. Like, it was like, yeah. Okay. So I know. Okay, shh. Let's quiet down. So anyway, that's what that is. Now, if I were to check. If I wanted to check and I didn't have an answer bank, I'd say, okay, what's a number below 18 as a checking number? I would use 0. And then I'd put it over here. 0 divided by 6 is 0. And is 0 less than or equal to 3? Yes. So that means that arrow is going in the correct direction. Then I'm going to go, let's do this one right here, number 2. So again, I'm solving on the n side. So I need to get rid of the 8. What's the opposite of a divided by 8? Multiply by 8. And again, it cannot be on the bottom. It needs to be up on the top here. And over here, we assume it's in the numerator there. So 8 divided by 8 is 1. And 1 times n is n. And then the final, it's not quite final, but 8 times negative 2 is, what kind of 16? Negative 16. However, we're not going to leave it, girls and boys, we're not going to leave it in this form because you're going to have to graph it. And to graph it, it must be on the left side. The variable must be on the left side because otherwise you're going to graph it the wrong way. So I'm going to flip everything, including the inequality. So my final answer is n. The point is pointing towards the n, so you flip it, and negative 16. And then you're able to graph it correctly because, again, the arrow goes in that same direction. So, again, I'm going to put 0. I know negative 16 is on this side. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Just the 0 and a number. And then open circle or closed? Open. This one's open. And then less than, again, it goes in that direction. And show your arrow, which means it goes infinitely in the negative direction. And I'll pick a number like, so it'll go into this. I'll pick negative 80. Negative 80 is smaller. So what's negative 80 divided by 8? Negative 10. It would be negative 10. And isn't 2 warmer than 10 degrees below 0? Yes, because it's close. So that means that is correct. So our arrow is in the correct direction. Because if I had it in the wrong direction, like if I had it this way and I chose 0, I had it going in the wrong direction, 0 divided by 8 would be 0, and it would say negative 2 is greater than 0. Nope, not true. So that would tell me that it's in the wrong direction. So you want to check that. Anyway, let's go to this one. All right, here is, yes?
Do you have to put the parentheses around the n over 8?
I would suggest you do that, unless you're very clearly putting a multiplication sign. All right, then on this one, okay, now this is a very special one, and you might, again, these are examples for the ones that you're going to have to do. And I'm going to do this first. You don't want a negative on the side of your n. Who knows how I can get rid of that negative right away?
Switch.
You can switch it. But if you switch it with an inequality, you must also switch this sign. So I'm going to change this whole problem to n over positive 12. So I've changed the sign, but I also changed this sign to a greater than or equal to. And then I also changed this sign to a what? Positive. So does that make sense? When you're multiplying or changing the sign, it's as if I multiplied by a -1, -1. You have to change all the signs. All right. And then now we can get rid of the 12. How can we get rid of the 12? We're going to multiply by 12. Multiply by 12. So n is greater than or equal to what?
24.
24.
Do you have to switch it though, or?
You have to get rid of your negative.
Okay.
You have to get rid of the negative, and the only way is to multiply it through by a -1. Or we just do it mentally, you know, switch the sign, and then you have to switch that other sign. You have to do it. All right, then again, I could always check it, like here's my 0, here's a 24, and it's greater than or equal to, right? And I really do want to check this because it's really important when you have these negatives. So I'm going to pick a multiple of 12, like positive 36. So if I have, and you don't need to write this, but if I have 36 over -12, I want to see if I do that, if it comes to less than or equal to -2. So what is this going to come to? I picked a 36 because it was over here. Is that a -3? Right here? I'm using a checking number of 36 because it's a multiple of 12. So 36 divided by 3 is -3. I said divide by 3, divide by 12. And isn't -3 colder than a -2? So it is lower, and that is correct, which tells me my switching my negative and the direction of my arrow is correct. Okay. Yes.
Would this also apply with the signs like greater than or less than if it doesn't have a line, like 4?
Okay. Tell me again, Sean. I didn't understand.
Right, 4. Does it apply for the ones that don't have a line? Like it doesn't have like a closed circle?
Yes. Yes. It also applies if you have that negative, and you have to flip it. Matthew, yes.
Back, I did a problem, but I was looking at the addition sheet.
Okay. We're not there yet, but tell me as soon as we get there. So. Okay, we'll look in just a second. So,
I don't know if it's a mistake.
well, I'm not there yet, so I'm not even going to talk about it yet. So on this one, who knows? I see something that I don't like. I see there's 2 things that I don't like.
The variables are on the other side.
So the variable's on the right side, and also what's wrong with this? So I would fix, you don't want to multiply by negatives. You're going to lose it okay, Matthew, we're not talking about that problem right now because now you're not going to listen to this. So on this one is, again, what I was saying is I don't want to multiply by -12, because a lot of people are losing their negative when they do that. I would get rid of the negative first. So if I change that to a n over positive 12, what do I have to do with these 2 signs? Switch it. So I'm going to change this greater than to a less than, and I'm going to change this now to a what? Positive. So I've avoided all those negatives, and now it's going to be a cleaner multiplication. So how do I get rid of a divided by 12? You're going to multiply by 12, and again, someone said, do I need parentheses? No, if you clearly show a multiplication. So it's going to be, is it 120?
Yeah.
So 120 is less than 12 divided by 12 is 1. 1 times n is n. However, we're going to be putting it in the format of where the variable is on the left side. So what could I do then? Flip everything again. So n, the greater opening is towards the n. And I'm not going to graph anymore. I'm done graphing right now. Okay.
You still have to graph.
You only on the ones that they tell you, but you don't have to do it right here, right? Okay, so what's wrong with this one? This one.
The variance on the wrong side is
And it's negative. So how could we get rid of that negative right away?
Turn the 5 into a negative and the 12 into a 5.
Well, and not just that. So I'm going to put n over 12, but don't I have to change every single sign? And this is a sign. So that flips. Instead of a greater than, it becomes a less than. And that 5 becomes a what? A negative. Okay. So you want to really do that right away, because if you try to multiply through by a negative, you're going to lose the negative and you're probably going to forget to flip. But now it's pretty clean. We've got a positive 12, and I'm going to just stick with I like my parentheses. All right. So multiply through by a 12, So on the right side, we're left with n. On the left side, is that negative 60?
Yeah.
Okay, negative 60. But in order to graph, and we're just going to do it by standard form, you want to have the n on the left side. So who thinks they can tell me the final answer? Valerie, but
N is greater than negative 6.
that's it. Because if you're flipping everything, everything gets flipped. Okay, and last one.
Do you want us to graph that?
No, you don't have to. All right, so this last one, what's the first thing you should do?
Which sign is the
Get rid of the what sign?
negative?
The negative. So I'm going to make it a positive. If I do that, what do I have to do to this sign?
Change it to
Change it to a less than, and I make this 3a
negative.
-3. Because again, you don't have to do this, but the rule is when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, which is exactly what we're doing to make it a positive, it switches that sign. So it's actually just easier to do it like this. So you don't need to do all of that mess. And then, how are we going to get rid of that 5? Multiply it through by a 5 and a 5. So this time, at least the n is on the left side, so we don't have to flip it again. N is less than negative 15.
So you don't have to graph it out.
No, not on this side, because you're going to have enough graphing on the other side. All right. But it's not a bad idea. Let me see. You know, if I didn't graph it, at least I'm going to find maybe a multiple of 5 that is less than negative 15, maybe a negative 30. So if I put a negative 30 divided by negative 5, that would be a positive 6. And is that greater than 3? Yes. So you want to make sure that that comes out to be true. Yes? Okay, am I going to flip the sign? I flipped it already when I changed it from a negative to a positive. I flipped it right here. Is that what you were asking me?
No, on the second page, I thought you
Oh, I'm not there yet.
I'll take it.
Okay.
On one of the answers, number 8, the answer is negative 55, but all that's positive 55.
Why did you see it negative 8? Huh? What?
Okay, and I'll have to tell Mr. that is going to be a negative. All right. Alrighty. So anyway, girls and boys. So that should be. Does the sign change? No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, boys, let's stop being silly. All right. So go ahead and put a negative 55. All right, boys, I need you to stop. Alrighty, so your job, it says solve the inequality and write a solution set. Your solution set is your answer. So your answers are going to come looking like this. This is the answer bank. And it says, this to me, this is really silly. It says, get your answer, which is, in this case, where is it? N is greater than 14. This is on the example. Then it says, write it in words. Our numbers are greater than 14. You don't need to do that. This tells me, my solutions are greater than 14. So that's all you need to do. You need to solve these. These you do not need to graph. So you don't need to justify anything. You're just going to check the answer bank. And the biggest, that you're right, I did not put the negative, but the biggest thing is if you see any of the signs that are going the wrong direction, please let me know. But I think they're all correct.
I also spotted another
Okay, just hold on just a second. So just keep it to yourself right now, and I'm going to go back and check and make any corrections. Then on the second page, your advanced class, the other class is not doing, we are going to do the word problems. You're going to, in fact, I'll set up one of them. On these four, up here on the second page, the 13 through 18, it says, after you solve it, graph it. So you will have your solutions down here and your mixed up graphs down here. Yes, sir.
So the mistake was on this page, so for number 18.
Okay, I'll go back and check it. All right, just keep on working. All right, okay. And then these are, girls and boys, these are the answers for the answer bank, but let's go ahead and set up one of the word problems, maybe the number 20. So the word problems you can actually, in fact, all of these you can do right on your paper. So it says, 25 people split an inheritance equally. So what are you going to be doing if you get $1 million and you split it equally among 10 people? What operation are you going to be doing? Division. Yeah, you're going to be dividing up the money. It says, if each person receives no more than $500, could the inheritance be $12,000? So let's go back. So if I've got an amount of money and there's 25 people, how could I express that? I don't know the amount of money. How can I express we're dividing the money up by 25 people? Using a variable. How could I represent money? How could what letter starts with money? M. So we're going to take our money and we're dividing it up among how many people? 25. 25. And in fact, actually, yeah, that's the money and this is the people. Each person, this is important, will receive no more than 500. No more. So who knows, can they get an amount equal to 500?
Yes.
Yes. Can they get 1,000?
No.
No. It has to be 500 or what? Or less. So it's going to be the amount that they get will be less than or equal to 500. So you need to set up your inequality and then you're going to solve it. So in this case, let's go ahead and see how much money they were splitting. So we're going to multiply by 25 by 25. So that cancels off. And 5 quarters is how much?
100.
Is 125 with how many zeros? So the inheritance cannot be, it has to be less than or equal to, what is that? 12500. That's my answer with this setup. It says, could the total inheritance be this, 12,000?
Oh, I thought those were exponents for a second.
Oh, no. Okay. No, but it's okay. I just want to know what the inheritance could have been. So this is your answer, and is that answer down there?
Yeah.
Yes. They're going to get $500 or less than that amount. So the inheritance has to be less than or equal to this amount. All right. So anyway, this is your answer.
So yes.
Could the total inheritance be, yes, it could be, for them to get less, it's possible. I don't even care about that. Just, I need to know what that inheritance could be. Okay, and that's it. So you're going to do these 2 pages, this one, and this one. And you all can begin. You can. Hold on, let me stop.